Today we're going to go over how to export from Lightroom using the export feature, as well as different file types available and their applications. So once you have your images chosen, like I do here, it's time to get them out of Lightroom and send them out into the world in various formats. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to either select all or select individual images that I want to export. In this case, I'm only going to export a few just for time features. So I'm going to click on the first one, hold down Shift and click on the last image that I want to export. If I want to export individualized images, I can hit Command and click on individual images out of sequence to be able to export them. So again, click Shift and click again to select a sequence of images. From there, you're going to come to the File, Export. It's going to bring up a dialog box. So in this dialog box, we have a couple different things to go over. First off, where do we want to export to? Hard drive is usually going to be the option. That'll put it on your desktop or wherever you choose to export your files to. Over here, you have some presets available to you. You can create your own, or you can choose some of the presets from Lightroom. We're going to go through and just fill this dialog box out with some various settings. So where to export to? You can choose a specific folder. If you want to put it on the desktop or in the subfolder, you can do that as well. So I'm just going to choose folder, and it's going to allow me to create a new folder. So I'm going to create a new folder here, and I'm just going to hit create and choose, and you'll notice that that file has now come up in my file structure. I can put it into a subfolder if I want and title that subfolder a project name or what have you. Doesn't like that file name, so I gave it an extension. You can choose to add these images to the catalog if you so choose to. I do not recommend that because it's going to make duplicate copies of an image in your catalog. So you'll have your CR2, your raw file, and then if you choose to export as JPEGs and add to the catalog, you'll have a JPEG version as well. That kind of muddles your catalog and gets it a little bit confusing. So existing files, ask what to do. So if you already have a file with the same file name that you're exporting, it will ask what to do as opposed to write over or skip. This method gives you a dialog box that pops up in case some files have the same name, and you can choose what to do at that point. File renaming. When you export images, depending upon the situation, you may choose to rename the file. If you're going to give it to a client or you want to rename for SEO purposes, this is the place and the time to do it. My general naming sequence is to keep my last name, first name, last name, identifying name here, and then a job name. So in this case, I'm going to call it John's Tuna Run because that's the project I was using. You can also choose a rename sequence in here. So if I want to add a file number to this, I can. Make sure that your file numbers are either sequential or unique identifying numbers or something like that. If you have sequential numbers, sometimes it can be problematic if you have to export again, and that's where the aforementioned ask what to do with existing files comes in handy. From here, we're going to go into different file settings. So under file settings, we have the option for JPEGs, PSDs, TIFFs, originals, and DNGs. JPEGs are going to be your best bet for uploading to the internet or giving to a client for a small file for review and inspection. You're going to want to keep it JPEG in the sRGB color space because that is the color space of the internet, and it makes it easier to deal with, and you don't have as much color loss if you have issues with conversions. Quality 80 or better is going to be your best, and we'll start out there and I'll show you guys how to export a low-res JPEG. So low-res JPEGs are going to have a smaller resolution. So your resolution for screen is 72, and then from there, how big do you want this file to be? So you can choose inches, centimeters, pixels. I tend to like pixels, and my kind of chosen standard is 1,000 pixels on the long side. So the long edge, which is here, is whichever side is longer. So in the case of a horizontal, it's going to be the top side. In the case of a vertical, it's going to be, the vertical side, left to right. So you want to make sure that if you choose something like width and height, that you want these to be, a specific length. Make sure you're doing this in a way that is going to allow for aspect ratios to be considered. If I do something like this where I have width and height at 1000 pixels, it's going to make my image square, 1000 pixels on each side, and it will squish the photograph. All right, so long edge or short edge will allow for you to choose how long that side is, and the other side will adjust proportionally. You can choose to sharpen at this point if you want to for screen. If you chose to sharpen the image in the processing, you may not want to do it here. You may want to do it here. It's kind of your choice as to whether or not you want to. Metadata, I like to keep my metadata on here in case it gets out on the internet somewhere. Somebody can use that information to contact me, or it allows me the ability to see if that photograph has been copywritten by myself. So I have some protections. Watermarks. So let's talk about watermarks for a second. Watermarks can go on your photograph to identify them as yours, and also in a way that allows somebody to not steal the photograph. So by choosing a watermark, it's going to put this symbol or words right on the middle of your image based on how you choose to set up a watermark. So if I go into this and I choose edit watermarks, I can play with a watermark in here and decide how I want it to look. Now I have a couple already set up just to kind of show as examples. These are text watermarks, and then I have a logo watermark as well. For watermark best practices and creation using both text and custom logos, please watch my video dedicated to that topic. So if I choose my watermark, again, I can come in here and edit that if I want to, or decide which one I want to go with. Okay, last option, Show in Finder. This is going to allow for me to view my files in the operating system Finder when they are done. So quick review, where are my files going? What are they going to be named? What size are they going to be? And what file format are they going to be? As well as what information is going to be included on them. So at this point, I'm going to hit export, and Lightroom is going to think up here and export those files for me. Okay, so all my files have exported, and you can see that the Show in Finder option has worked, and it's opened up a Finder window to show me my files. My watermark has been applied in the method I chose, and my files are now ready to be sent to a client. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this video informational.